So welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to be going over with you my lower body workout. This is the workout that I've been doing during quarantine isolation. So I predominantly do a strength training routine. So a lot of these movements I'm doing during quarantine aren't my normal habits. And in this first clip, we're just doing some bodyweight squats. This is just one set for AMRAPs. We're just getting the muscle tissue warmed up for our working sets. And then in this next clip, I like to do a conventional body squat, except I'll hold the position for 10 to 15 seconds. I do this for 3 to 4 repetitions, and this is more so just to get my hip flexors warmed up for the full range of motion that I'll be performing in our main working sets. And then to kind of build off what we were doing in the second clip, this is more of a static stretch hold for the hip flexors and the ankles. So I find this is a weak point for me, especially given that I spend a lot of my days sitting idle at my desk. So I find my hips get really tight in my ankles. They start to lose mobility over time. So I've been making sure to add this form of flexibility movement before each of my workouts. I don't necessarily promote static stretching during or before a workout, but in this case, it's all right. And then this is more of a ballistic style hip flexor stretch. I've always done this before my squats or my deadlifts. It really helps gets my hips and my my glutes all warmed up and loose, so that I can perform the squat with little to no pain or discomfort in my hips. So again, just to kind of build off the general theme of all these videos, I'm just doing a body weight hip thrust. Again, the glutes and the hamstrings are a huge muscle work during the squat. So we want to make sure that this tissue is all warmed up and ready to go. There's no pain or mobility issues. I want everything to be nice and filled with blood. So if you saw my previous video, you know that I'm a big fan of the weight in the backpack. So this is kind of how I add resistance to these movements, because body weight just isn't enough to facilitate that muscular or strength development. So what I do is I essentially just put a bunch of weights into a backpack, and then I'm able to perform as close to as I can to a conventional squat. Again, I use a slightly wider stance than usual because it's kind of my powerlifting nature. And then here I am using the same concept, except I'm doing it with the hip thrust. Again, normally I would be doing this with a barbell, but given the limited amount of equipment and weight I have, I kind of have to work with what I got. So it'll still facilitate some form of progression. It won't be comparable to the gym, but it's what most of us can do at the moment. Then here I am taking the same concept, except this is more of a front weighted exercise. So this is sort of meant to mimic a front squat, which will target primarily the glutes and the hamstrings. Again, for all these movements, I'm doing 5 sets of 8 to 15 repetitions. Again, either upping the total volume I'm doing, or I am trying to increase resistance through whatever means that I can. And then this is me failing at performing a lunge. So I kind of switched it up halfway through. I thought I wanted to alternate between a left and right leg, except I decided it made more sense just to do one leg at a time. Again, I don't normally perform this movement when I'm at the peak of my powerlifting routine, but since I'm not exerting my muscles to their maximum capacity, I'm kind of throwing in accessory movements that will facilitate some sort of hypertrophy or muscular development. And I hope that this would translate to my performance when I eventually return back to the gym. And then again, this is the same sort of concept. I'm just using the front weighted system. I have my backpack in the front of me, and this is sort of to mimic a calf raise. Again, I don't normally do isolated calf work, but since I'm just trying to focus on hypertrophy and trying to maintain as much strength as I can during this lockdown, I think it's just beneficial to throw in however many movements that you can possibly do with what equipment you have, and just kind of work around that and hopefully develop some sort of muscle and preserve some strength you may have. And then when you get back to the gym, you'll be near peak power levels.